Hey, sis. Hey, sis. Welcome. Happy New Year, sisterhood. This is our very first show for the new year. So I got to say Happy New Year, even though we are already in the second month. Can you believe it? Hi, Reis. I hope I am pronouncing your name right, Reis. Hi. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I'm so excited to be having this conversation. When I tell you all this conversation has been the months in making, believe me, it has been. But we are gonna have ourselves a wonderful conversation. I hope everyone in the sisterhood is doing well. And if you aren't, let me know why. This is 2024, and so we are looking for a transformative year. We're not just looking for it, we are going to be working toward it. Thank you to everybody who is tuned in. As I always say, if you do not post hi in the comments, I'm not able to shout you out. So sometimes I shout people out, and then other people may be like, hey, I'm tuned in, you're not shouting me out. But it's because I can only see that the eyes to say that someone is watching. I don't know who the person is. So if you want me to shout you out, let me know. Or if you have a question during our conversation today, be sure to post it in the comments so that we could go ahead and read that. But like I said, I am so excited. Hi, Marsha Camp. Thank you so much for tuning in, Sister Chelsea. You know, I got to get used to that. But thank you, everybody who is tuned in today. We're going to have ourselves a really open, honest conversation. I don't know if those of you tuned into the last show, we talked about PCOS and endometriosis. That was November of last year. We talked about that. And so this year we are going to be talking. We want to kind of continue the conversation. Hi, Dulcie. Thank you so much for tuning in. We want to continue the conversation this year. And we want to talk about infertility. And I know where we are right now. A lot of times as women, we're embarrassed. It's taboo. You don't want to talk about it. We have women who are struggling with infertility. And, you know, it's a battle. And sometimes those of us, we're not aware of the situation. And so that's why it's so important for us to be careful. You know, us in our Bahamian society, especially once you've reached a certain age or you're married, the first thing we like to say, so now when you're having a baby, and, you know, we put pressure and we're wondering when this person, and we do not know. And a lot of situations, it may be, well, not a lot, but in some situations, it may be that couple is trying and they are having issues and it's difficult. And so we have to be mindful. We need to be careful about what we say. I wanted to share before I bring on my two brave, wonderful guests. I wanted to share a statistic. This isn't just in the Bahamas, excuse me, but this is a worldwide statistic that I wanted to share with you. I wanted to share with you, believe it or not, that there 1 in 6 people suffer with infertility. 1 in 6 people. So that means that every 6 people, when you meet 6 people, one of them, statistics shows that one of them suffer from infertility. I want you to bear that in mind as you go throughout your day, out your life. And you may be tuning in, it may be you who is experiencing this issue. And I want to let you know that we are here for you. We want to support you however we can. We want to uplift you, and we want to let you know that you are still whole. You are still you. And God has so many wonderful things in store for you. So thank you for tuning in. If you're brave enough to tune in, if you wanted to say something in the comments, go ahead. This is what we do. This is why I created Hey Sis Coffee and Conversation, so that we as women can get together on a platform and be able to talk about these conversations with people who are willing to open up and be vulnerable. So again, thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Charmaine Russell, my Inca, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. And so I want to go ahead now and bring on 2 of my guests as we get into our topic this afternoon, which is I am not my diagnosis. navigating infertility. So, sisterhood, please help me welcome both my guests, Mistress Monique Coakley and Minister Sharanda Mitchell. Welcome, 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 ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Minister
Thank you.
Sharanda. Okay, great, 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 wonderful. Your internet is a little blurry. You're a little blurry, but we were able to hear you. So let me just be transparent right now and let y'all know. I met Minister Sharanda Mitchell once. We happened to be at a conference and I met her once. And when I was having this, when I decided that I was gonna do this show, really do it this year, I was like, I need to bring her on. And so I want to publicly thank you for making yourself available. She readily agreed. She's like, I'm excited. And so I want to thank you so much for your willingness to just be open and transparent and coming on and for us having this conversation. Edric Pinder is saying, hi, Sister Sharanda Mitchell. So she's shouting out, giving you a shout out. And then my other guest, let me tell you, we have known each other forever. Okay? We have known each other for more than 35 years, and we only 35. And so Monique and I, we were neighbors, we were in class together in high school, and we have remained a part of each other's lives. And so I want to thank Monique so much for coming on and brave enough to share her story. It isn't easy, you know. I am very mindful. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm shy. Right? But it isn't easy for anyone to come on and just share their story. And so I just want to say how much I appreciate you, Monique, for coming on and doing that. Monique is a person, if she could stay in the background, she's very content.
Yes.
She isn't going to fuss about it. She isn't looking for the spotlight. So I this is a treat. This is a treat. Listen, Minister Sharanda, you're getting all the shout outs. Althea Cooper saying, that's my mama. And then Edrica saying, yes, my big sister, I love you. Listen, Sister Chelsea, let's go with it. Y'all know the enemy is very shy. So ladies, let's get into the conversation and let's just begin to talk about it. Ready or not, here we go. Let's talk about it. And so I'm going to start with Monique because I know she's raring to go first. What would you say? What happened? Were you married when you got a diagnosis? What was your diagnosis? Because your diagnosis may not have been just, infertility. It may be that it's gonna be difficult for you to get pregnant. But let's talk about this journey. When did this journey for you with this diagnosis really start?
Okay, so I would go back to my teenage years. So when my cycle started, I realized very early on that my cycle was not regular. So I would go for months and not have a period, but I didn't think anything of it because I wasn't sick or anything. It was just something that happened to me. So, hearing my other friends talk about, okay, I can mark on a calendar, I know when to expect it, that was not the same for me. So later on, years later, I think in my late 20s, I decided to look more into it because at that point, the only thing that regulated my monthly was birth control. So once I was on birth control, I would have a regular cycle on a monthly basis. If I came off of it, then I would not have a period for months and months and months on end. So when I went to the doctor, there was some tests done, scans done, and I was diagnosed with PCOS.
Okay.
Some of the other symptoms, like, being very hairy and all of that stuff, I didn't have those symptoms. There was no illness, no sickness, anything. It was just, an irregular cycle. So I would have been diagnosed late in my 20s.
Okay. And Minister, before I get to Minister Sharanda, now listen, let me try keep up with these shout outs. Shout out to my beautiful wife, Monique Coakley. Monique, I don't have to tell you who that's from. Hey, sis, that's my Mo, Shanice Davis. Oh, Kimberly McIntosh, you know, you and I going to have a personal conversation because I believe this is your first time logging on to Hey, Sis Coffee and Conversation. So, you know, but she's saying, hi, my friend. Mary Graceful says, Bestie is very shy, but she definitely has an inspiring story to share. And Janice Hepburn, thank you for tuning in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, Minister Sharanda is having some internet issues. Hopefully, she'll be able to log back in as soon as possible, and we can continue our story. We can continue talking with her. And so we'll wait for her to log back on. But in the meantime, we'll continue talking with Monique. You know, and let me just let her know to log back in as soon as she can. So we'll continue with Monique. Kimberly is saying, I'm so proud of Monique coming out of her shell. Ever Hall, hi, Queen Monique. You see all these shout outs you was missing? Yes, and so for those of you who've just tuned in, Minister Sharanda, her internet is giving her some issues. So as soon as she works those out, she will be back on to share her journey. But in the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in, Latoya Glinton and Tavon. Best mother in the world. So, Monique, okay, so in your 20s, you were diagnosed with PCOS. Did it really at that time resonate with you that what complications would lie ahead with that? Or it's like, okay, now I have a diagnosis. I understand the irregular periods.
At that point, it really didn't resonate because I was not ready to have kids and I didn't know, the seriousness of it. And I didn't know the journey that I was about to take. So at that point, no, it wasn't that serious. Like I said, there was no illness or anything like that attached to it. So I just knew that at that point I had irregular cycles.
Right. So, okay. And so you have a diagnosis and you understand why. Minister Sharanda is back with us. Inca, of course, my Inca is saying hi to Monique, and Latoya Glinton is saying proud of my big sister, Sharanda Mitchell. So, Minister Sharanda, it was your journey similar? Were you having irregular cycles and then maybe a diagnosis of PCOS, or when did you get a diagnosis?
Good evening to everyone. Now, I was listening to Monique's story, but I didn't have that problem. I could
Right.
have marked. I
You
had
were
a
regular,
calendar.
your cycle,
It was like
everything
clockwork.
regular.
It was like clockwork.
Wow.
Now I always struggled with anemia. That was
Okay.
my problem.
Issue.
And so
Okay.
I had that situation, but I had very, very painful periods. And so, after you get married, time to work and time to have these babies,
Right.
and we kept trying, and just
Nothing
coming up
happening.
short. And so I went to doctor and I just wanted to see what was going on because we were doing everything. So it should have happened. And then I got diagnosed. I was having fibroids. So I had to
Okay.
have like 4 surgeries. They keep coming back, go having surgeries, taking them out, keep coming. I don't know. But so that was my story. So
Okay. Right. And so
but
I think it's important, and in a way, I'm not happy that it's happened to either of you, but it's in a way, I'm happy that the diagnosis were different. Everybody's experience is different. And so just in case you're out there and you're contemplating getting married and of course starting a family, you may be like Minister Sharanda and your periods are regular. Yes, they're painful, but we learned on our last show that painful periods, those excruciating periods, they are a signal that something is not quite right. We learned that with the last time we had the show. But you may be saying, because I used to have horrible periods as a teenager. I mean, and if it was a school day, I had to miss school that day, how bad it was. And so you may be saying, well, I'm regular. Yes, my periods are painful, but I'm regular. And so you may think that I should be good. And that's why it's so important, to get these kinds of checkups. So it was during the course of now trying to become pregnant now that you find out that, hey, this is an
Something
issue.
is
So
wrong.
Monique, I'm going to now bring you up to where minister is in terms of, so you got the diagnosis, like you said, you weren't ready to have children. So, okay, it's PCOS. And now I know that's why my period is so inconsistent. All right. So now let's take us now to when you tie in PCOS with the difficulty of getting pregnant.
Okay, so I would just go back to when I met my husband. When we were dating, of course, that's something that I had to talk to him about, because at that point, after doing research and knowing, the possibility of maybe not being able to have children is something that I had to be transparent about. I was almost thinking in my mind that that would be a deal breaker. Um,
Mm.
but we had a conversation about it. He didn't seem, too worried about it. And we were married, I think about almost 3 years. And we decided that we wanted to start a family. So I went to the doctor and was placed on all types of different medications. Medication to make me have a monthly cycle, medication because when you're not having a cycle, then you're not ovulating. If you're not ovulating, then you're unable to get pregnant. So I was placed on all types of medication, and for months taking the medication, they did not work. And one of the medications in particular that they put me on, it was for persons that have I think it's high blood pressure, and the medication made me so, so sick. So
Wow.
every morning, I had to take the medication. I would throw up. I had no appetite, and that went on for months. And after several months of taking the medication, my husband and I had a come to Jesus moment. And he was like, Moni, this isn't working, because, like I said, I lost like about 20 pounds because I had no appetite. I would have to force myself to eat, to take all of these medications, and there was no successful outcome. So he basically said, Moni, that's it. It's not working. And it's making you so sick, you're gonna need to come off the medication. And I was like, this man is crazy, because
I just want to ask you, how did you feel when he said that? 'Cause for you, this is your opportunity to have a child. And,
and
and
I'm
as sick as,
thinking,
and as
this
sick
is
as it was making you, you was willing to go through it. You were willing to go through it.
because I felt like this was my only opportunity, this was my only hope. And he was like, Monique, what I've seen you go through, it's not making any sense. So you need to come off the medication. And I mean, I was in tears. And I'm like, this man doesn't understand how serious this is. So at this point, all of my friends had kids. I was the godmother, helping plan showers. At this point, you have family members, you have people looking at you. Well, when are you going to have a child? I've even had cases where um, certain persons would have said to me or asked me, well, are you barren? That is extremely hurtful. So, as a woman and somebody who desires so much to have a child, to go through this, of course, I was so happy for my friends, and loved all of their kids, but they had something that I desired so much. And
Yeah.
I felt that was my only opportunity. And
And now
something
here it is. Your husband is saying, stop,
So
stop.
something
This is,
my
yeah.
husband said that resonated and stuck with me. He said, Monique, we have to trust God. We have to believe God. And if God does not do it, then it will not be done. So the
Wow.
faith that he had during that time really helped me. And so at that point, I came off of the medication.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Minister Sharanda, were you also taking a lot of medication? Did you also have to take a lot of medication during this journey?
None at all.
Okay.
My gynecologist, she put me on birth control for short time. And then
Right.
I was like, I don't think this is what I want to do, because, and I started hearing stories about, persons who've been on it for a very long time. And that was a challenge, as well as having, for them having kids after being on
Okay.
birth control for a while. And at that point, I wanted a baby. Like, if that was something that was going to stop or cause it to take long, I, no, I
Just
didn't
didn't
want it.
want it.
I was ready.
Right.
And going to
So,
doctors and, having, after you have a surgery, they were like, okay, give it 6 months to a year, you're good.
right.
Time to try again. And just going through that process for so many years. Whatever they tell me to do,
You did.
I did it, because my everything, my focus was just having this baby,
Right.
and
And so mentally, how was that? Was it taking a toll on you mentally and emotionally?
yes,
You're following what they're saying to the T, to the letter, but still you're not seeing the results that they are saying that you should see.
yes, it put a toll on me. The good thing about with Monique, at least she was able to talk to her husband or before. I
Mhm.
didn't have that opportunity,
Right, because you didn't know.
because we didn't know. We thought once we ready, do what we have to do, baby's
We're gonna
coming.
have a baby.
And I come from a family, and I always tell people this. I come from a family with women. Some of them, you look at them, baby.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know,
So as far as you're concerned, there
I am
shouldn't
having
be
children.
any issues.
Yes. And I'm the oldest. My
Right,
mom have a lot. You understand?
right,
So yeah, I was good. I never expect, never in a million years, that
right.
this would be my story,
Mhm.
and yeah, it took a toll, because when everybody look at you like your only worth as a woman is to
Yeah.
have children.
Your
If
ability
you're
to
not
have a
having
child.
children, you're worthless.
Mhm.
There's no need for you in society. Everybody's looking down at you. So there was so much that I had to, fight. And also being in a family. Oh, listen, I'm the best auntie in the world, but that was not my desire.
You wanted to be a mom.
I wanted to be a mother. I mean, my husband is amazing. And he constantly tell me, babes, if you don't have no children, that does not change how I feel about you. I love you. I didn't just fall in love with you saying, oh, we having kids. It's
Right.
not that I'm in love with you. That was fine. And I needed that, because one thing we have to remember going through, and I'm so grateful to God for what you're doing, because women need to support women. You need to
Yes,
understand
absolutely.
what we're going through. You need to be sensitive, and I'm a minister, and I've been in the church, and I've been saying this over, and that was one of the reasons why the Holy Spirit allowed me to write this book, because church women needs to understand, and that, listen, we want children too. This was nothing that we choose. If I had a choice, I would have had plenty children. My house would have been full. This was not my choice. I did not
Right.
choose to go through this. But God has a plan for each and every one of our lives. And whatever it is, we have to submit to Him and say, you know what, God, use my life for your glory. And this is what
Yes.
God is doing. When we
Mhm.
forget about what we going through, and it took years for me to
Yeah,
push
and
past
it
the
didn't happen.
pain.
And I'm so happy you said that, because there may be someone listening saying, oh, well, yes, no, you didn't just get to this point. It took, like you said, it took years for you to get to the place where you said, God, whatever it is, however you're going
Yes,
to use my life still has value. And that's
yes,
important, because you have to get there. Because, like you say, society puts that pressure on us. Society says you got married, or
baby.
sometimes not even married. You have a certain age, by now you should have a child. And so you see these beautiful ladies here today. You see Minister Sharanda here. This was a process for her to get to this place. This was a journey. Okay. It didn't happen overnight. Yes, even with her praying and seeking and trusting God, she had to come to this place. I want to say thank you so much before we go right back into it, ladies. Bernice, thank you so much for tuning in. Chanel, Leotha, Edric, yeah, Edric Kimberly is saying it's so sad to know women who pray and desire to be a mother are faced with challenges. Meanwhile, we have females having them and not loving them. or wanting them. And I'm sure, and I'm going to let y'all speak to that a little bit. Good evening, Shireen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Mary Graceful is saying, what I loved about Monique is she has always been supportive. Whenever I had a baby, a true gem. And of course, like both of you said, the best auntie, the best Gaudi, but still you wanted a child of your own. And I'm gonna ask that. I'm piggybacking off what Kimberly post just now. You see women out there, and during your journey into motherhood, and you saying, Lord, I got everything set up. I'm ready. My husband is ready. I have the support. And this is the third, and I'm just being human, right? And so you all could let me know if I'm wrong. And you saying this girl cannot take care of the first baby. She already have a next 2, 3. I'm here every day struggling. True or false?
True. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to navigate that too, right? Yeah. And like you said, Moni, hey, you're so happy for your friends when they have children. Yes. But of course, you saying, God, hello?
Mm-hmm.
What about me? I'm ready. All right. And so now you're at the point where you're trying, it's not happening. You're trying, it's not happening. And they have 2 very different stories, 2 very different outcomes, but both outcomes so beautiful. I'm telling you, both of them so beautiful. And we just see the hand of God in both of them. So, Monique, your husband says, hey, enough is enough. No more. Mm-hmm. He's not prepared. He says, either God is going to do it or it's not going to happen. It's too much. You're sick every day. Mm-hmm. And so now here it is. You're off of them. What are you thinking now? You're off of all of this medication. I'm sure it's against doctor's orders, but you decide to come off. And so now what is going through your mind? What is Monique thinking and feeling during this time now that you've come off?
At that point, I think I was still kind of devastated. And then when you go through something like this, I don't know if Minister Sharanda can identify, but it's almost you go through a period of shame, and it's not very easy to talk about. So a lot of it I kept internally. I didn't talk to anybody about it because there wasn't anybody around me who could really identify with what I was going through. So a lot of it was, and I internalized a lot on the whole. So a lot of it was basically going through that period of sadness of, that thinking of maybe it won't happen. Basically just dealing with those feelings on my own. I would say a lot of times I was depressed because there's still, I'm off of the medication and still nothing is happening. And like I said, I didn't really talk to anybody about it because you kind of feel embarrassed. You kind of feel like, something is wrong with you. You're not good enough. So all of these things were going through my mind during this period.
Okay. Minister Sharanda, so you continue to try, you continue to try, you continue to try. Is there a point where you say it's enough, I'm not trying, you and your husband, or you just say we're going to just keep trying until?
Well, I kept trying. I never wanted to tell myself that, okay, that's it. Because I've already, like Monique said, you feel like a failure already. Mm-hmm. You understand? And so just one thing I could say, when we get invitations of a baby shower, or you hear someone is pregnant, for years, I put on the front that I'm happy, but on the inside and behind closed doors, I am
devastated.
Like, this can't be real. You understand? And I had ladies that I would pray for and pray with, believing God for them to have a baby. And then the hurtful part was to see them get pregnant.
And you say, Lord, I'm praying the same prayer for me.
but you just refuse to bless me with a child. And so it was just a lot. And years later, I am still, trying to be strong and trying to push through and trying to understand. About almost for 10 years ago, I was faced with having a hysterectomy. And because I there was one point where I bled like almost 12 months nonstop.
Wow.
And I was back and forth in and out of the hospital having blood transfusion. It was a nightmare. And so the doctor was like, listen, you can't do this any longer. So we can need to have a hysterectomy. I prayed. I told my husband, I was like, listen, don't tell nobody. It's between me, you, and the doctor. This is not what God said. I got to go and talk to him. And I fasted 21 days. I shut down. I went in. And to my surprise, I would have thought by now I would have had a baby. The day of after when my fast ended, someone called me and told me, I see you having a surgery. And I'm like, that ain't what I shut
That ain't
down.
what I want here. That ain't what I was
I
quoting.
did this for baby, not
Right.
surgery, because I've had a lot. I don't need any more.
Right.
And she gave me the whole outline of how the surgery is going to happen, where I would be, like everything. I'm like, God, you're so detailed. You could tell this to this lady. I want a baby.
Yes.
But be it as it may, I had to have the surgery. Everything happened the same way she said it. No baby came. Just about 3 years ago, I was faced again with having a hysterectomy. At that time, it was either life or death, and I had to have it. And so that was like one of the hardest decisions
I just if you're able to, and only if you're able to, share that what kind of state that left you in or put you in, even if you're not there. Because at this point you're having the hysterectomy. This means that's it.
That's it. But I've gotten to a place where I was like healed.
Yeah.
I was whole. I stayed in the presence of God, and I understand who I am as a woman. I understand that a baby does not make me a woman. I am loved. I have a purpose. God has a plan for my life.
Yes.
I cried as much as I could. And I had to get to a place where, listen, God, if this is how you're going to use my life, then use it. But I'm not going to stay here crying and living in a dark place, because I believe that God has a plan and a purpose for my life. And I had to pick up myself, get it together with the strength and the help of God. And I'm like, God, every woman out there who can't find this place or the person to talk to and express what they're going through, I want to be that voice.
Yes.
I want somebody to know that, listen, I might when you don't put on your hair and put on your makeup, we look good and we look strong or whatever. But I want to be that voice to let other women know that, listen, I went down this road.
I've walked this road.
I walked this. This ain't something I read. My book tells my story. I'm telling you everything. My book will tell you how I fight with God. Listen.
Yeah, and guess what? I'm glad you brought that up, because that was my next question. I know God helped you and brought you to this point, but was there a point where you were angry? And I want to ask Monique that as well. Was there a point where you were like, God, what happened? Like you were angry, like.
Yes, I was angry. You're going to, all that is in my book. And when you were talking about women having children, and I'm like, when you hear on the news, somebody dumped their baby here. So I'm like, God, that's not fair. You're seeing young women on the streets having children. They're not married. And I'm like, God, what is wrong? You can't be a fair God, because that's not fair. But these are the conversations that I had to get it out of me. I had to get it out.
I believe that. I believe a lot of times as we're Christians, we're afraid to be real, to say that these are the very emotions that we feel, No, we may not stay in them, and sometimes we do, and we really need help. But we feel these things. It isn't every day you saying, "Yes, I'm a child, I'm a king's kid." Some you struggling, and especially in this area, you struggling and you fighting and you trying to just every day.
Every day you fight to live. Because there were points in my life where I was like, God, just take me.
Mm.
Why am I here? To just for everybody to look at me and say, okay, because I'm not having a baby, you're barren. That's who you are. I am not barren. That's
Exactly.
not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And so it gets better as you go. Every day
Yeah,
it's
but
get better. It's
it's a
getting better.
hard
It's
road
getting,
to walk.
but yeah,
And
it's
so,
a journey.
and so, Monique, your story is a bit different, and we're gonna get to that. But okay, so now you're off the medication and still nothing. What's going through your mind?
Like I said, at that point, it was just still a lot of doubt, a lot of unbelief, thinking that, God, why me? When I think about all of the other things that I would have gone through prior to this, it's like, my road is just, not easy. And like I said, this was something that I really, really desired. And why do I have to face this fight? So at that point, that's the feelings that I was
That
going
you
through at that point.
experience then. And so now let's talk, let's go further, So, okay, you're still trying. You're saying, Lord, I'm still trying to hold the faith. I'm still trying to go. Now, at this point, when you're off the medication, does your cycle go back to being irregular?
So when I came off the medication, it went back. So I stopped seeing my monthly. I didn't go back to the doctor because, of course, then he would ask, well, Monique, I put you on this medication.
Why aren't you
You
taking
have
it?
to take it in order for, for something to happen. So I didn't go back to the doctor. So of course, at that point, I didn't see my cycle for months. Um, and then I think at one point I took some bush medicine, and then I ended up seeing my cycle. Um, I think it was like probably in the month of February, I saw my cycle, and that was like first time I'd seen it since coming off of the medication. And then I didn't see it again.
All right. And so, okay, so you're not seeing your cycle. You saw it once and then that's it. So continue on. How long is this going before
So,
anything happens? How long has this been now? So from that time you stopped the medication up until this point.
so this would have been February. Like I said, I saw my cycle. I didn't see it anymore after that. At this point, I was going to the gym, working out. And then I think in the month of April, my husband and I, we went away shopping. So we were doing like a lot of heavy lifting and all of that stuff. And then I started to squat and I was so excited. So I was like, oh, something happened. It was very, very light, but I was still excited. Okay, I'm seeing some sort of my monthly. And then went away very quickly. And on that trip, we had a talk about kids. We had a very intimate talk about kids and all of that, and what I desired. And something very peculiar happened during that trip. We went to a particular restaurant, and we ordered the food. And when we got the food, the scent of the food, I just couldn't bear the scent of the food. And it
Right.
was like strange to me, but I didn't pay any attention to it. We came back home, months went by, and still praying and believing God for a child. And the Holy Spirit had said to me, this would have probably been about April. The Holy Spirit said to me that when you're pregnant, that your husband will confirm it. And I thought it was like my mind, and I'm like,
Yeah, you feel like that was just you saying that because you want a child so bad.
why would this thought even come to my mind? And I thought like it was just so mean, because it's like,
Mhm.
I God, what I'm going through. So for that thought to even come into my mind, I just thought like, that was just not nice. So now we're into May, still haven't seen my cycle or anything. And it was June 5th. It was the day, my sister's birthday. It was a holiday. And so I was home and my husband was at work and he came home for lunch. And out of the clear blue, Andrew asked me, out of the clear blue, we weren't talking anything about it. And he said, honey, are you pregnant? And I was like, this
When
man,
he said that, what did you
crazy.
feel, think?
At first, I thought, like, that is so insensitive. Like, why would you say that? There's no signs, there's no symptoms, nothing. Why out the clear blue would you say that? I feel like, that was just so insensitive. And when he left, I just broke out in a cold sweat. And then I remembered the words that came to me that when it happens, he would
Your
confirm.
husband would confirm it.
So I was like, okay, he went to work and I was like, oh my God, I went to the store and I got a pregnancy test. I went to the pharmacy and I got a pregnancy test. I tried to be as discreet as possible because again, you don't want to build your hopes up and then nothing happens.
Right.
And so I went home. I took the pregnancy test. It was 2 tests in the pack. I took the first test and I saw 2 faint lines. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I'm still like in disbelief. And I'm like, oh my God. Then I took the other test and immediately 2 lines came and still filled with doubt. I was like, something, Andrew's going to round me one because Monique, why did you go and purchase the cheapest pregnancy test on the shelf? So you purchased this cheap pregnancy test. It has to be faulty. So that night, I didn't say one word to him about it because then I was still in shock. I was still like, I still didn't believe it. And I didn't want to basically kind of give him false hope that, yes, this is the case and
Right.
it's not. So the next day, I went to another pharmacy and I asked for the most expensive pregnancy test that they had. And I took the test. I came home. I went to church that morning. He didn't go to church. I came home. I went in the bathroom, took the test. In seconds, the test was positive. And then I called him in the bathroom and I was like, honey, I think I'm pregnant. So my husband is very extremely talkative. And I think that's the first time I think I know him that he was like just speechless. So at that time, that was a Sunday when we found out. So of course, then I had to go and make an appointment to see my doctor. So we agreed that we won't say anything to anyone because it was still something in the back of my mind saying, Monique, this has
It's
to
a
be
false positive.
yes. And at that point, my mother was working away off island. So of course, we didn't want to say anything. She had to be the first to know. So we scheduled an appointment with my doctor on that Thursday. That was the first available appointment. So when we went to the doctor and he was like, Monique, what's going on? So I told him and he said, you see, I told you that medication would work. I told you that would work. And so at that point I had to say, no, I wasn't taking the medication for months. The medication did not work. So of course we knew that was a miracle that God had blessed us with. So we went ahead, had the appointment. The doctor did the scan. He did the scan. He did all of the tests and everything. And at that point, we found out that I was 4 months pregnant. So on top of God blessing me with that miracle of being able to conceive, God protected the baby inside of me for 4 months. Like I said, I was going to the gym the whole time, doing all kind of things that I would have.
Everything, not even.
And God just protected my baby.
Amazing. God is so good. And so I just want to say to those of you who've tuned in, I can't tell you that Monique's journey will be your journey. But what I can tell you is that whatever it is, trust God during the process. It is hard. Trust God during the process. And as difficult as it is, you need a support system. You absolutely need a support system. And let me just say this to y'all. God didn't just bless Monique and Andrew with one. Monique has 2 boys. Monique, how old are your boys?
My boys are 19. My oldest is 19, and my baby is 15. And I just want to share, like I said, with
Go
Tavon,
ahead.
my oldest. So total miracle. And he just reminds me of God's promises. God, he is just a miracle. And I think Tavon was about 3 years old, and at that point, um, Andrew had said, Monique, I think we need to have another child. And I was, all of those feelings came back again. And I
Right
was,
back.
what if this doesn't happen? And I'm going through all of these things again, all of these emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I was diagnosed with PCOS. Tavon, yes, is a miracle, but to go through all of these feelings all over again. And so at that point, I was back on birth control. So when he and I talked about it, we set a date. Tavon's birthday is in November. So I came off of the pill in November. And December, I was pregnant with Drayden.
Wow, wow. And I want to ask you, you said Tavon was 3 at the time.
Pardon?
You said your oldest was 3 at the time.
Yes.
Okay. During that
Tavon,
3-year
3, yeah.
period, did your cycle become normal? Were you still having inconsistent cycles?
Yes. So after I had Tavon, the doctor put me back on birth control. So my cycle, like I said, once I'm on birth control, my cycle is
It's regular.
regular. It's but the minute I would come off of it was when I would have an issue.
Right. And so you were still diagnosed, you still had PCOS. The only thing that made your cycle regular was the birth control pills.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Minister Sharanda, so we know your story did not continue. Notice I didn't say end because your story hasn't ended.
No.
Your story continues. Not the same journey, but your story continues. And so out of everything that you've gone through, let's talk a little bit about, because you wrote a book. Let's
Yes.
talk about the book and what you share in the book. Let's talk a bit about the book. How long ago did you write this book?
Well, the book was in making for at least about 10 years. Because it's just hard to go back into that hard place, because I want to be very transparent in the book. I want women to really know how another woman feels that is struggling in this area. And so it took a while, but I think I released about last year. Yeah. And
You have a
so,
copy there with you because I want you to hold up this book. It's called Breaking the Spirit of Barrenness. Breaking the Spirit of Barrenness. And before we leave, I'm going to put your number, but you can also purchase it on Amazon as well, correct?
yes.
Okay, and so tell us about that. Because some would say, well, you didn't have a baby, so you quote unquote still barren. So talk a bit about that.
Barrenness is in so many areas. And as I was going through that, and I'm like, God, this is the title of the book, but people would be expecting at the end that I said I had a baby. But I'm breaking free from that spirit that was holding me back and not allowing me to be all that God has created me to be. And not only that, telling others about what I went through. God is using what I thought was something that was bad, that was shameful, that was, devastating. God is using that now to free other women that, listen, you could talk. There's somebody out there that you can speak to. I am here. You understand? And so that was the reason why I wrote this. Another thing was to bring an awareness and to let other women know, listen, we have worth, we have value. I thought I was not, I thought I was trash for my husband, because I always felt as if he is such an amazing man. He deserves more. He should not be, I'm stuck with a woman that cannot conceive, cannot give him a child, cannot give him someone to call him daddy. I felt as if for years that was not fair. And so all of that is in this book. I want you to understand how God pushed me through, carried me through all of that, and understand that, listen, I am still a wife. I still have a purpose as a woman in this earth, and I will walk and do everything that God has created me to do. Also, to bring an awareness to us as church women, be careful what you tell us.
Yes.
Even though at church I was able to put on a smile and push through, I was still hurting. You was crushing me every time I thought I got the strength to survive another day. Someone would come up to me, what taking y'all so long? You don't want any children? Like, seriously, again? And so you continually pushing me back to that place where I'm trying all, like, listen, every day is a constant fight and a struggle to push past that place. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to bring an awareness to. Also, we need support.
Yeah.
Support. I have an amazing husband. Everybody gonna get sick of me when I'm talking about my husband, but he is simply amazing. Without him, I don't know what, I would not be here tonight. I know that. My family, oh my God, simply amazing. But during this process, God spoke to me. He said, Sharanda, you cannot stay in that area. I'm doing so much for you. You're not enjoying what I'm doing for you. All you're doing is just being stuck right there on this baby. But I'm doing so much. And so for me, I was missing out on the blessings of the Lord.
Because your only focus
Because my
was
only focus,
everything
I
was
was only
tied to
focused
this
on
baby, having
having
a baby. And so my life is not right. You can't even experience other good things.
nothing. My husband,
I gotta
his
say
love that
this
he was
because
giving.
it wouldn't be right because Monique, I gave you your shout out. And so there's a Tally Mitchell who is tuned in to say hi, love you, baby. And somehow I don't think he's talking to me or Monique. So that
Yes,
must be your good husband.
my
Rehab,
good
I want to
husband.
thank you so much for tuning in. She says sometimes we can be insensitive and not careful of what we say to people when it comes to personal issues. Absolutely, absolutely. And it's like you said, and I'm so happy you made a point of that. The thing is, there were other things going on in your life and you can't see it because you have zeroed in to the fact that you need to have
Okay.
this child. And if you don't have this child, nothing is right. And we have to face reality. Reality is not every woman who is desirous of having a baby will
Yeah.
have a baby. Last year at some point, Jennifer Aniston, from Friends, Rachel from Friends, she wrote a book. And not that I'm a big follower of her, but what stood out in the book was she revealed that she had tried during her marriage, she had tried so hard to get pregnant. And why that stood out to me was because I remember when she was married at the time to another actor, and people were saying she didn't want to get pregnant. She was putting her career first. She was all about her career, and that's just not who she is. And everybody was writing a story, right? And here it was. This
Yes, she
woman
could.
was doing everything that she could to try to get pregnant, and it was not happening. And so it goes back to what each of you is saying. We have to be so careful how we handle people. And what we need to do, I know it's a cultural thing. What we need to do is take out of it is none of your business. It really is not. That's the reality. The reality, it is none of your business when, how, or if I decide to have a child. If I decide not to have a child, it is none of your business. And I didn't experience what either of you ladies experienced. I remember when I first got married, Mark and I didn't have our first child for 5 years. And I could tell you, anyone and everyone who knew us and who could pray, family, friends, was praying to break this spirit of barrenness, not knowing that that was a conversation that we had, and we determined, hey, we're going to wait 5 years, right? And so people rush to judgment. And if I want us, those of us out there, to really be sensitive, we have to be more sensitive. We are creating a sisterhood of safety. That is my desire, to have sisterhood where you can come in and share and feel safe and talk about these hard things. And so we have to make the space safe. We keep telling people, talk, share your story, but we're not creating the environment for them to share their story. How can I come to you and say, I'm struggling? If everything, you don't give that man a baby yet, always like it's some gift to give to the man, right? You don't get that man a baby yet. What you waiting for? Girl, you better. And not knowing that you're facing. And so let's think, let's be slow to talk and just be sensitive, because we don't know the silent battles that people are facing and fighting. And like you say, you just get up, wake up that morning and say, I could do it. I could push through. And then boom, somebody hit you with, no baby yet? How long you gonna wait? We have to be sensitive. So Sharanda, before, we have about 4 more minutes left, but please give us your contact number. Like I said, hold up the book one more time. I want to put the title in the comments. It is Breaking the Spirit of Barrenness. Okay. And that is by Sharanda Mitchell. And if you'd like a copy, or even if you just want to talk with Minister Sharanda, you may be going through your challenge and afraid to say something. Or you feel like it's only you. Because when you are going through something, you feel like it's only you. And so everywhere you go, all you see is children. But now some other women are walking this road. And so, Minister, how much is the book?
It's $25.
Oh, come on. All y'all have to do is pack lunch for a week and you could afford this book.
It will change your life.
So I am encouraging you. It's $25. And give us a contact number just in case we don't want to wait and get it off Amazon, because you have copies yourself. And
yes, I have copies from you. You can get from me 646-4119.
4119.
Yes.
All right. So I've posted it in the comments along with the price and a contact number for Minister Sharanda. Monique, you write your book yet?
No, Laverne.
Baby steps. Monique say, oh Lord, you just get me to talk and you're already talking about a book. Listen.
My husband is the writer.
I just want to say, Andrew, we working on this. In 2025, this book, Monique,
get it done.
We can get this book gonna come out. Why? Because it will change your life. Some of our comments, Tanya saying it's our culture and it needs to stop. The questions never stop. You're dating, when will you get engaged? You get engaged, when you're gonna get married. You get married, when you're gonna get pregnant. You get pregnant, the child needs company. The questions never stop. People just need to mind their own business. If it's not something encouraging or uplifting, just don't say anything at all. It's that simple. Kimberly is saying, because most women are so insincere, it's hard to release your burdens even to someone you call friend. Yes. And that's what we are doing with Hey Sis Empowerment and Resource Center. We are changing the culture. We are creating a sisterhood where you can feel safe and valued. I know that when you share, you are sharing among sisters who care, who are concerned, who will pray for you, who will encourage you, who will uplift you, who will correct you if you need to be corrected, because that's all a part of the sisterhood. And we have to do it for each other. There's so many things as women that we face, and we just have to be able to do it. Miss Ramming, Miss Sarah, I don't know how I missed you, because I should have known you was, I'm sure you posted earlier, so I apologize. I thank you so much for tuning in. I thank you so much. So please, I am encouraging you, if you know someone who is maybe walking this journey, they've gotten a diagnosis. We don't know. We continue to pray and believe and trust God. But know that if you've gotten a diagnosis, you've been trying and trying. You are more than that diagnosis. Begin, as hard as it is, begin to see the beauty in the other aspects of your life, as Minister Sharanda said. Begin to see the beauty that you have. There's so many beautiful things. And like you said, you don't know what God has in store for you. You don't know the blessing that you're going to be to someone else, right? And that's the beauty of these two stories. Two different outcomes, but God is still glorified. And you can see these beautiful ladies, they are living the life that God intended and has for them. And it didn't come easy.
No.
Not at all.
And I'm so glad. They look beautiful. They look good hair, good makeup on, everything. You see these people. And you know, let me tell you, people probably look at you, other women, and say, I wish. I wish they have it all together, not knowing the battles and the struggles. What they say, I don't always look like what I've been through.
I do not look like what I've been through. I refuse to look that way.
Oh, I love it. I love that. I love that. So you may be listening and saying, I ain't there yet. I'm there yet. And that's okay. Because as Minister said, as Monique said, it didn't happen overnight. They didn't get that diagnosis and decide, okay, God. No. They walk the road, but they continue to walk the road. And that is how we have to be. And so I want to encourage you out there, if you face a diagnosis, whatever it is, infertility, some other illness that you may have faced, you need a circle. Don't go it alone. I'm telling you. Reach out to us. Reach out to me. My number's at the bottom, not just if you want to sponsor, if you want to talk, if you want someone to pray. This is what we're here for. This is what the circle is all about. Monique Coakley, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sharanda Mitchell, again, breaking the spirit of barrenness. 6464119. It's $25. If you are experiencing difficulties getting pregnant, you just need someone to talk to. Someone you could be real with. You could say all the things you want to say. I'm devastated. I'm disappointed. I'm mad at God. All of
You
that.
understand?
You could say it. You're in a safe space. You can say it. So I want to thank you, ladies, so very much. We are out of time, but guess what? In a good way. This has been such a wonderful show today. I'm honored to have both of you on. You know, before we wrap up, as I always say, if you are out there as a lady and you maybe don't have any groceries, you just need to get some groceries. You don't have it. Send me a message, 648-26-6278, 826-6278. I have a Solomon's gift card, and we always like to sow into someone's life if we can. And so please reach out to me, private message me, 826-6278, and say, hey, sis, this is whomever, and I'll meet you wherever I need to meet you tomorrow. And it's just something to help a seed, because that's what we're about, right? And we want to help you if you are in need. Now, listen here. This is for if you are in need or if you know someone who is in need. This isn't for you to go get your groceries for the Super Bowl party. I just say it. The things to supplement the money you already have. This is for you to send me a private message so that I could assist if we can, because that's what we like to do here at Hey Sis Empowerment and Resource Center for Women. So ladies, thank you very much once again. Sisters, my sisterhood, thank you for your support. Thank you so much for tuning in. 2024 is going to be a transformational year for all of us, for Hey Sis Empowerment and Resource Center for Women. And I thank you for being a part of it. It would not happen if I did not have your support. And so, you know, we come live on every other Sunday. So next week, Sunday, which is Super Bowl Sunday, we will not be on, but I will be watching the Super Bowl because those of y'all who in my circle know I'm a football person. But anyway, I digress. But the following Sunday, we will be back right here at 5:30. So until then, let us be good. Let us help each other. Remember, we are in a circle. God blessed us to help each other, to lift up and encourage each other. So make sure we do that. Have yourselves a wonderful Sunday evening. And as always, I see you, I feel you, I support you. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you so much for tuning in. It's good to be back, sister. It's good to be back. Bye.